Let me make sure my volume is working. Hi, everyone. We'll start in a couple minutes. Okay. All right, we have a couple more people. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I got worried. Hi guys. Sorry, my dogs are here. We may as well we'll give it a couple more minutes, but I'll start in a minute or two. We do not have, unfortunately, I did invite Lily King, and way back in like August, her publisher had given me this date, and then they came back to me and said she couldn't do it, which is a bummer. But it's okay. We'll still have a good discussion. I literally just finished the book. I like to read them right before we have our Zooms. And I loved it so much. I hope everyone else enjoyed it,
Yeah, I loved it
I
too.
really loved
I
it.
really did.
right?
Yeah.
It's so, I mean,
So good.
it's so good, and it's so much better. Well, she's not here, so I can say I didn't enjoy her other books as much, but now I want to go back and read Riders and Lovers.
Yeah, I feel like hi, it's Ingrid. I'm in the car, so I don't have the video on, but I think I started Writers and Lovers and never finished it. I can't even remember, what it was about, but I agree. This was so good.
I know. I kind of think the same thing. I'm not sure that I did either. Um, but anyway, so I will give you guys, and I should have started this first. Sorry, my dogs are so hyper right now.
No, no.
I did just a cute, quick like background about her because I was kind of curious. Like throughout the book, I was trying to figure out what college this was. She went to
Oh,
Chapel Hill. I was thinking it was either Duke or UNC, but it was UNC.
yeah.
Um, so she graduated from UNC and then she got her master's in creative writing from Syracuse. And then after that, this part's kind of interesting. After she graduated from Syracuse, she then moved to Spain and she taught English there. She taught English high school there for a couple of years, and then moved back to the United States and cobbled, I guess, very similar to Jordan's life slash Casey's life. And then, wrote a book after supporting herself through working in restaurants, and actually she worked at a bookstore and things like that. And then in the very end of her bio, which is really cute, it says in 1995, she met a guy named Tyler at her friend Bernadette's house at a party, and then they got married in 1998. And she has two girls and two dogs, and they live in Portland, Maine. Um, which I thought was like really cute. And I think, I mean, um, and then, okay, so then, well, so I'll just talk a little bit about her books for a second. Euphoria was I did start Euphoria. There's occasionally I take these 92nd Street Y roundtable classes online and I love them. But last winter I signed up for one that was Great American Fiction. And the first book was ironically Euphoria, her first book, which was a finalist for the National Book Critics and was optioned by BBC as a limited series and I couldn't get into it. But now I want to go back and see if maybe I'm going to like it better. Has anyone else read any of her other books?
Are we
This
talking
was
about the
the
author's
first
book?
book I've read.
Yeah, I'm talking about Lily's. I was just giving like sort of a background on Lily King. And I was saying that Euphoria is her like was originally her, I bet this book is now, but that book was originally her most popular book, Euphoria, because it was a finalist for National Book Critics. So I'm wondering if anyone's read any of her other books.
Yeah, I hadn't. This is the first one I've read by this author, so I was happy to be introduced to her.
I know, me too. Well, I really, so nobody's read Writers and Lovers then.
No, but I just bought it.
I definitely
Okay.
started it and I can't remember. This is so bad. I can't remember. It was a while ago. I can't remember if I finished it or not, but I'm going to go find it and pick it up again.
Like
Give
a
it another
dollar
chance.
99 on Amazon right now. So I thought, well,
Oh, good. Wait, Kelly, how much is it on Amazon? Because I'll get it on my Kindle too.
it's a dollar 99. It's like a
Oh, that's
little,
awesome.
yeah.
Uh,
So
Yeah,
what was Euphoria about? Did you read it?
so I started reading it and it's another love triangle. And she's an anthropologist, I believe, like in the jungle somewhere, and it was just too weird for me. And I want to go back now. I have it here because it was the very first book we were supposed to read for this Zoom class, which I basically failed. I never continued. I bought all the books and everything. So I want to go back now and try to read it. And I definitely want to read Writers and Lovers now.
Yeah.
Because apparently I just was listening to a Zoom on that Barnes and Noble. She was Barnes and Noble's Lily King's book, Hurt the Lover, was their October book choice. So they just did, if you can go online and find the YouTube, I can send it to everybody too. But I was just listening to it like right before we started. And she originally knew she wanted to write a book about a college life, but didn't know, and she knew in the very end, she knew that there was going to be that final section where in the hospital, but she didn't know it was going to be the same case. It was going to be Casey of Writers and Lovers until she was like halfway through the book, which is kind of wild. And her editor is the one who didn't want her to say anything about the jacket or anything that it was anything to do with Writers and Lovers.
Because isn't it in the very end? That's the first time we hear her actual name.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
shock. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, did I miss
Yeah.
it or was it just a shock? No, it was
Yeah.
a shock. She's Jordan the whole way through. And then, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
which
And
I thought
I,
was kind of interesting because I feel like to me it sort of signaled like her husband is the one who truly knows her.
Right.
mm,
Whereas I feel like the other the other two guys like they knew her, but they had like issues of their own and they couldn't kind of couldn't get past their own ego to really know her. And that's what I kind of took that to mean.
Yeah. Like nobody, like they were trying to make her into someone else, into their
Yeah.
own making, as opposed to just, knowing, seeing where she was and who she, yeah, I totally agree.
She was like wrapped up in her, in their literary world and they were so smarty pants and whatever else. And meanwhile, she's like found that professor who introduced her to all these female authors and like helped her find her voice. It wasn't them who helped her find her voice, it was the professor. So she ends up like really marrying, I think, someone who, you know, like knows her and is different from the other two guys. That's how I took that.
yeah, no, I agree. I love the fact that he wrote her that postcard because he ditched on the first date. The postcard that was in their house of Crested Butte. That was like the sweetest thing. And that
Right.
Remind
really,
me of
really
that. What was
bothered.
it about?
Sorry.
He sent her a postcard, her husband? I forgot
Her
that.
husband did.
Yeah.
Her husband sent her like an apology note because I guess he bailed on on their first date. And so he sent her a postcard from Crested Butte, which is really funny to me. Like, I wonder what her connection to Crested Butte is. It's like we used to go there when my kids were little all the time, and it's like really not like I think it's become more popular, but it's really
It
out of
wasn't before, yeah.
yeah. I mean, so it's funny that it's that. And so that clearly really bothered Yaz so much. I'm saying his name wrong. That she, because there was all that stuff. I mean, anyway, I thought that was interesting. Um, I wonder what I wanted to ask everybody is I wonder how much of Lily's life is reflected in Casey/Jordan's life. Like I think so much of this book is actually biographical, like really Lily. Has anyone else thought that?
Hmm. I
Yeah.
thought there were probably parts of it that were, but I didn't know how much. I mean, I thought she might reveal that in here. I mean,
I
certainly like the
I
writing.
also sorry, I also thought that all the literary references that she made, I
Yeah,
mean, that's clearly stuff she knows. I don't think that
yeah,
was research. So you know, the main character is into literature the way that she is how I felt about it.
yeah. And I felt that maybe she'd had an early relationship in college that she wanted to explore or write about, but I don't know if it was completely to the letter true to her life. Maybe inspired by something. I don't
What
know. Do you think she had a baby that she
Where
put
do you
on?
think the university is that they're at? I kept
Oh,
like
so
Like
trying to.
I figured it out in the very beginning. You must have missed the very beginning. It's UNC, Chapel
you
Hill.
would say,
Because
I
okay.
that's where
think. I
she
mean,
went, and I think that's why you think it's
yeah,
autobiographical.
it's where
Maybe
she went.
that's it.
But don't you think it's either there or maybe Duke?
Hmm,
Yeah.
could be.
Hi, it's Helen. Sorry, can I keep hopping on and off? But yeah, I thought it was UNC.
You
There was
did?
something I kept, as you said, as you're reading, you're like, what school is this? And
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was something North Carolina in, and I cannot remember what it was. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But yeah, I thought it might be. So it's interesting to know that that's where she went.
Well, yeah, because do you remember when one of the roommates or one of the friends went to UVA to go visit for the weekend? I don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
and he could drive.
That and
yeah. True,
there
true,
was
true.
also a mention of Raleigh in there.
That was
And
it. I think there was a
Oh,
mention of
so,
Raleigh. That was
so
it.
I thought
Yeah.
originally it was Duke, but yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did too, Molly.
Yeah.
That I thought perhaps it was Duke, but I think it was either Duke or UNC Chapel Hill, it was like around there. What did you think of, I mean, first of all, this card game that they played is so obscure to me, but I mean, what did everyone think about the title and it being in relation to the card game?
Well, I meant to go back and reread the card game because I thought, well, this is fascinating, but I couldn't in the first reading kind of hold on to how you make a family and all of that. But I did think it was something fun to go back to.
Is it actually a real card game? I meant to look it up and I never did, but is it a real thing?
I don't know. I need to find that out too. I meant to do the same thing, Molly. Did anyone know? I felt like maybe it was a made-up game
I
that
thought
they
it
made
was made
Yeah,
up.
I
I
think it
think
was.
it's something, yeah,
I think
something.
it was made up. I think it's like it might be sort of like hearts or something. I don't know. I mean, it was very, I mean, it was very difficult to understand how it was even played, and it was definitely sort of this inside joke, especially the Hank part of it. The
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
um,
So it says the game is a variation of the board game Sir Hincombe Funnibuster from the early 1900s.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And you remove the eights, the sevens, the six, and the fives.
Right. We talked about that.
Yeah. And then everything else is like there's a polite name for everything.
Yeah.
But Kelly, so it's a game like the card game actually exists, or was it one
No, it's based on a board game by the
that
same.
that she made up the game for this novel based on that board game from the 19th century?
I don't know. It's just I'm just doing a little AI check.
There's a little fictional license there, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe.
I think it was more about to me that was about like how they called each other Hink.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it carried through the book. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name again? Yaz, is it? The guy.
gosh,
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes.
gosh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
one teeny flaw that I thought was like I didn't know that she laid enough seeds for me to believe that he would just completely not show up in New York. I mean, I didn't know he was that at that point. There were a few times when you thought maybe, but never to that point. I mean that he would do that completely.
Well,
I
that he would do that, and then she would go on to carry forth with the pregnancy the way she did. And then they'd have
know.
these two parallel untruths or unknowns.
Was anyone else really surprised when we found that out that she had had the baby or a baby, that she was even pregnant?
Well,
Oh,
they said
yes,
Yeah,
the
that was
closing of the first half, I can't button my coat. I was like, oops.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
yeah,
They knew
yeah.
they'd had a difficult fall, but it was never intimated morning sickness, etc.
Yeah, I feel like you're just
I have
kind of
to
waiting
call
the whole
them.
time to find out what happened to that baby. Did she have it? Did she not? Did he find
I
out about it? Did
know,
he
I
not?
know.
I did find like the illness, that whole setup was a little, as much as I absolutely love the book, but I did find the sort of illness and hospital set like that, it did make for like a little bit of like Hallmark movie, like sappy, just it was a
Yeah.
little bit forced in that way. But I still
Well, it was
think
so
it was so well
dramatically
written, so
sad.
great. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
The first half of the book and the second half of the book were like two different books. I thought
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
first half about young love, college life, insecurity, growing up, the whole passage of time in college, it's slow and it's fast. And then the entire second half, you're thinking about her sitting there as though she's his wife on his deathbed while her child is sick and on his way to Houston. It was like, whoa. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was a
Yes,
lot.
I
and
thought,
also
wow. I mean,
the double whammy of sicknesses, like yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it was
yeah,
a lot.
The mirroring of that. I mean, I
Yes.
think one thing that struck me was especially, there's, I guess, this Professor Galloway who's written these books about just young men and the crisis of,
Oh,
uh,
he's the best. Yes.
and
Yes.
I just sort of thought, even though this was, from a different time period, I sort of felt like the actions of both Sam and Yash were more reflective of just how, at that age, they're sort of, men are sort of like, maybe 5, 10 years behind emotionally. Like it was more of a question of just almost them being men. And then you fast forward to her marriage and how sort of stable and, there's this foundation to it. And it's almost like that by that time, you know, they sort of catch up. You sort of the men have sort of caught up emotionally.
Well,
Um,
in the end, that's kind of what they both say. Yash said, you have to understand, I was 20 to 23 years old. I didn't want to make the mistake my parents made. And
yeah,
what was his name? Steve, the other fellow, said,
Sam.
I
Sam.
was
Sam.
sorry, truck going by. Sam, he said, oh, I was awful. I was awful. My son shouldn't be like that. But to your point, they were both just immature college seniors, I
And
yeah,
think.
yeah, and you sort of see this sort of, you feel the intensity of her emotions and how these first experiences and, falling in, this intense love, that sort of, maybe it only happens when you're that age, that
Yeah.
first, it's sort of so painful and so raw and so intense, that, can you, and I sort of feel like by the end of it, you sort of feel that, okay, well, maybe men do have this, you sort of get caught up with how Yash really felt about her, that she didn't really realize until he was literally at the, on his deathbed. And
yeah,
it seemed like people who were close to him sort of understood how she was
Yeah.
the one that got away.
Yeah.
And sort of, it's this sort of thing of like, he, maybe it's sort of very, what I like about it is that, you see these emotions from a woman's voice. And I think that this, we're sort of like filling in the gaps, but maybe men do feel this intensity, but they express it in a different way, or they, can't come to terms. I mean, it was just really interesting, that part of it, I thought.
I agree. And I thought it was heartbreaking actually
So
at the end.
heartbreaking.
When everyone was like, "Oh, you're here finally." Like,
yeah,
broke his heart. Like, you're so right, Felicia. Everybody knew. And I kept thinking to myself, "Oh my God, did she miss something?" Like, I feel like this
mm,
would never have happened if it was the other part about the book that's really fascinating, and I've been reading a lot of books like this at this time period, is the fact that it's like pre-cell phone.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Letters,
part
the
of the whole book.
letters,
Yeah, the letters.
and the
I
phone
love that.
calls.
And the
Yeah.
phone calls. Like I sort of think that maybe she would have ended up with him if this had been like a cell phone era.
oh, that's a good point.
Mm.
Yeah,
I just have a feeling that I just have a feeling that he I thought the same at first, and then I've revisited that thought, and I now think a little differently. I think that maybe he just wasn't man enough for her. Like in the end, she was, she just was more mature and ready to commit and ready to sort of dive into it in a way that he wasn't. And I thought that the author did a good job sort of explaining why, because of his parents and where he came from. And so he had a chance. He chose Atlanta with Sam, and then he could have gotten back to her. Like he could have found her. He could have, um, and he didn't. And I thought that was very telling.
I also think too, the fact that she has the baby and then she goes to her mom,
Yeah.
like that to me was sort of really moving, that it's one of the best things that happened to them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? That like, and
Their
I think about
relationship.
that too, like that was sort of like an underlying theme of the whole novel, is this unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
That is there and that really exists for, in your relationship with your parents, but also in relationship to your spouse, Um, I liked her spouse when he gave her a hard time for not coming back. Do you remember that scene? I can't remember exactly what he says, but she's like, I told him. And he's like, yeah, big freaking deal.
Right.
Like, I'm here
Wait,
with your son. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
wait, which spouse?
Like she's with Yash and she's trying to like find the time to tell him about the daughter that they had.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he's very understanding,
Yes.
Because
but
she changed her ticket, right? She was supposed to
Yes.
go home and fly
Yeah.
with them to Houston, and then she changes it so she can stay longer, and he's
Yeah.
angry.
like again and again and again.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
there's like a subtle moment where I thought her husband was very grounded and very real
yeah. I
and
did too.
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh, big deal. Like, okay, and I'm here with our son who's about to have like
Yeah.
this is a big
Yeah.
deal. And I liked that about him. I liked that he stood up for himself, and I liked that he reminded her like, hey, what's important. And it was subtle. It was subtle,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No, but
I
you're right.
thought,
Because meanwhile, I'm thinking because I was like practical. I'm like, wait, she's in Atlanta. This is so
right.
much easier for her to go to Atlanta than directly to Houston. They go all the way back to Maine and then go to Houston. I'm like, this doesn't make
Point.
sense to me. But you're right, because you're right, Kelly, because he did say, remember, Jack is like not good on the plane, like that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I felt really bad.
I just liked that I liked the guy she ended up marrying so much. And I also felt like there were small things that Lily King did to make him very human too. And I thought I liked that, you know.
I agree. And what I picked up on that was so key with him
Yeah.
was he understood just what a huge deal it was for her to tell him, and this need to tell him. Like, and he was so patient with her. And he knew, and he had to hold it with her. And he understood that she needed to tell him, and overall was encouraging her to take her time, and then they ran up against a deadline with her own son. And so then he got a little perturbed, but um, I agree. I really like her husband, and now I did order the prequel sequel, that the other book, because apparently that's all about how she picked him. So I'm interested to see how they ended up together.
Oh, it's
Yeah, me
all about
too.
how she
Yeah,
picked
it's like,
how she picked her
yeah.
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah, it's all about her
Oh,
relationship with an older man and then a younger man. The younger man is Silas, her husband,
yeah.
and sort of this love triangle that she was in, and how she ended up with Silas.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good because I did feel like I wanted to know a little more about him because I liked him too, and I want to know a little bit more about him.
yeah.
What
Me
Yeah,
did
too.
you
he
think
was
about
like,
Yes
for
and
the short amount
Sam?
of time he was in the book, he actually is pretty, he's not so flat, like he's not really a flat character. Like I saw myself going like, yeah, you're right. You have a backbone. Yeah, I like you. Like it made me feel like she made the right choice in the end. Yeah.
I have a question about the end and I meant to go back to the very beginning. Did anybody know who is EJ and Marnie? Were they from college?
Oh, right.
Those
They're
were
Yeah,
like
they're
Jack's
war
his
friends.
friends. Those were his childhood friends that they stayed with when he went they went to visit his family.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
because they didn't want to stay with the parents. And those two got married when they were high school sweethearts, right?
Exactly. And then,
Yes.
Or
She
yeah,
got
that
pregnant.
kind of a messed
yeah,
up
yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
I think he was violent. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm so happy that I asked that question because that was driving me crazy. I'm like, where did they came? And then they ended up getting divorced, those people,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes. And then the wife came at the end in the hospital
right.
briefly with her two daughters. And they
Your
were the girls
daughter.
with the hair and the whole thing. So there's
Yeah,
a lot going on in that hospital scene.
they
Yeah.
called them the pigeons,
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It was
right?
charming, the dialogue with the children, the tadpoles and the frog and the pigeons, and he always had these pet names for everyone else's children. I would say one other thing about Yash. There was one sentence or so in the end, God bless him, when he was passing in the hospital, and he said, "I wasn't. Do you think I should have married?" And she said, "Well, I don't know." And he said, "I don't think." He said, "I need my alone time." And she said, "I've realized that." And so you almost realize, remember how he used to kind of go quiet with her and you didn't know if it was about Sam or was he
Yeah.
mad at her or is his mother or what issue? But they wouldn't resolve it. It would just be like they go on to the blue dress with the white buttons and everything would be fine. Anyway, he and I think she reconciled that maybe he wasn't a character, sadly, to marry because he really did need his alone time. Perhaps he was a struggling intellectual and ended up being a lawyer rather than a writer, but nevertheless, lawyers write too, and that's what he did. But anyway, he didn't marry. He needed his own time. He needed to be
Well, that,
independent. I
yeah,
think
between being that and then also his nickname was Mr. Cautious.
Yeah.
exactly. Of course, yes,
Exactly.
yes. He
But
kept
it's
saying, yeah,
no, go on. I was going to say it's going back what you were just about to say about when he ended up being a lawyer.
yeah,
Um, that is sort of it's that part. I was like, oh my God, look how it's so crazy to me because the two of them were the ones that were really like the intellectuals, like the ones who were
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know, like destined to be these huge writers. And one of my favorite the very beginning of the book is when she went into his bedroom thinking it was the bathroom and he was like surrounded by books.
yeah, yeah. And she ended up digging out the puck, becoming the writer, and they ended up going and making a living, if you will, and in more square fields or
Yeah.
reliable fields, if you
Yeah.
will.
Well,
Did anybody enjoy
because
the
she'll take the
relationship?
risk. She
Oh,
takes the
Yeah.
risks.
Yes, that's
You
a
know,
good
she's
point. Yes, she
mhm.
takes the risk. She does. Yes. All through her life, she took risks. The one little thing, I'm kind of babbling in and out, but I did find interesting the character was on a golf scholarship. And I guess that's the whole Jordan tag. Like she's not even Daisy, she's Jordan, like
I
sporty,
know.
dismissive. But it's like, well, what happened to the golf? Like,
I agree with you. I was thinking the
you
same
know,
thing.
golf scholarships are someone who's very dedicated, focused, if, then that is apparently what she had her for, granted, she gave it up. But usually people who are in that space, there'd be some mention of athletics or some mention of
I know.
discipline. There really wasn't a lot during her college years after. Now, again, she gave it up. So maybe that was it. She did it. She got there and then said, I'm done with this, which many kids do. They go
Yeah,
in,
Yeah,
they
they
say,
do.
I'm done with that part.
but
Well, she
Helen
was
is
kind of lost, I thought, in the
was.
beginning of college. She was sort of a wayward,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the
Agree.
other thing about that Jordan thing, I don't know if any of you thought of this, but in Great Gatsby, Jordan cheats at golf. She's a cheater.
Oh,
Oh,
no way.
golly, I
So,
forgot that.
yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not
And
remember
so
that.
part of me was
Sporty and
like, what's
clipped.
Lily King doing here with that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jordan's not meant to be fully trusted either. So I thought,
Well,
and
again, that was how the guys looked at her, it was always they would come up with these quips about her or other women. They weren't really themselves other than, as someone said earlier, the way these guys were portraying them. But yeah, it's interesting because they don't exactly, Jordan, as you say, cheated at golf. That's a bit of a tag.
and then
Yeah.
Daisy was somewhere wasn't there a nickname
Well,
Daisy?
yeah, they called
Well,
her Dee
Daisy is Daisy
Oh,
Buchanan, right?
in the very beginning because Jazz
The
comes
date was
from
Daisy.
They
his
called
cat.
like didn't they call anyone that they were trying to date? Like
Yes.
I
Daisy?
wasn't sure. They covered it up with, oh, that's what we say about the dates, but I didn't know if that was true or they just tagged her as Daisy because they'd seen her in the class. maybe others felt differently. I
Oh, no,
wasn't
no. I
sure.
think they call any girl Daisy, right?
I
The
thought
Daisy.
Okay, okay.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
So
Yeah,
too.
that
date. They
yeah.
said, oh, if it's a date, it's a daisy. But
Daisy.
I
Yeah.
then they
I
got into
thought
the
it was
Jordan.
really
Yeah.
befitting that Yash ended up being a litigator. It's so erudite and Mr. Cautious. It's like such a good way to channel his um, sort of academic interests and strengths with something that's more cautious and risk averse. And lawyers are trained to assess risk. So I thought that was actually interesting. What I thought was even more interesting was how successful she had become as a writer. And
Yeah.
Lily like lays that out towards the middle, towards the end, like, oh, it's like a by the way, and all the books and that one scene where she goes to speak to one of her sort of writer heroes, and then
She
he
goes to
ends up,
DC, right?
yeah, and then he ends up,
Yeah.
you know, being enamored with her and how she starts crying. I didn't understand that. Why was she so emotional and, losing it when she met him and he was so, complimentary of her writing? I didn't get that. I didn't understand what the author was trying to do with that scene.
I felt like in that scene, if I remember correctly, I felt like it was a reminder to her of what all had been and like the magic of their time together and how they quoted him and how they looked up to him and all
Yeah.
of that. And then she was sort of, I thought, grieving that,
Hmm.
in that time. And
I
I think
think
also there's a subtle message of like things aren't always what they seem to be. People aren't always who they seem to be.
Yeah.
Things don't work
That,
out the way that we think they're going
And I think
to.
she was, I believe it was also around the same time as her son was sick.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
I think
Yeah.
so that she was really emotional about that too. That was
Yeah.
I
part
think
of
you're
it,
right. I think
maybe.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, absolutely. That is exactly. And then I thought in the hospital it was interesting when all of Yash's, I thought the author kind of went heavy on that, like, oh, you're here, you're here. It was a little too heavy. It's like, okay, well, if he wanted her that badly, he knew where she was and he knew how to find her. But he didn't. So, but
But
I
do we
thought
know that exactly? That
that
I mean, I just sort of feel like it sort of stopped when, she's pregnant. And then, I mean, there's also this sort of other part of the fact that she kept it from him. And he sort of dies, I think so quickly after he's told, he's told by her like what happened, and maybe it's all sort of made sense like I don't know.
But also,
no, but
didn't
then
he?
all the relatives
He
came up.
said,
All the relatives are like, "Oh, Yash keeps gifting your books." So she'd written. She was a prolific writer. It wasn't like one or two. So every year I get another book of yours, and so he had been following her
Yeah,
literary career.
Yeah, Molly.
Something
Sorry.
I
about
thought that
like
he said that he
wouldn't,
tried to reach out to
um,
her and she rebuffed him.
yeah, she refused to answer
To
him.
engage.
Uh-huh.
It was all the poems. He sent poems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I
he
thought
didn't
there was
know.
something that she refused to answer.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think she
but
was angry.
yeah, she was angry, and I mean,
And scarred,
I
probably.
mean, but also like I mean, she didn't say, okay, well, this is what's happening to me now.
Yeah, it was interesting because she didn't do that. She didn't accept his apologies and felt that they weren't enough. Obviously, poems about elephants and how he was like an elephant and his slow movements. But it was interesting that she said that she kept the pregnancy from him initially to hurt him and then feared that she would hurt him too much by telling him. So she was just kind of as someone said earlier, she was always seemed betwixt and between these very heavy emotions. But it was quite dramatic going through all that and not, as I said earlier, she didn't want to make the decision to give up the child or have an abortion and wouldn't do that. But then she proceeded with the decision to have the child and give it away without including him in that decision. So that I found dramatic. And I guess that's because she was angry at that point because he hadn't shown up at
Yeah.
the airport, which was pretty bad.
Yeah,
really. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
pretty
of
bad.
course.
And I feel
But
like
yeah,
I feel like the phone, like the comment that someone made earlier about like had they had a phone and texted, she could have been like, no, 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 you don't
Yeah,
understand. You need to get to New
yeah.
York
Let
right
me show you
now.
my picture. Do you see where
Yeah.
I am?
Right,
Like,
right.
let me
Yeah,
take a
yeah,
selfie.
exactly. Good point.
Yeah. And did you guys like the relationship between Sam and Yaz? And I was surprised to find Sam at the foot of his bed, sleeping there. And I thought, wow, in the end, the guys were more loyal to each other in some way than they were to the women in their lives. They maintained that relationship, even though Sam was like a jerk at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I didn't expect that. There were three guys, right? One died young of
Yeah.
cancer.
yeah, yeah.
Ivan
yeah, Ivan.
died.
He was the Joyce Scholar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they still had this intense friendship that grew over time into something even more meaningful.
Yeah, they said that Sam went off the rails after, was it Irving? The third guy died and his marriage fell apart, and that Yash
Yes.
saved him from that period of distress.
Right. He was
Yeah,
Yeah.
disillusioned with his family
yeah,
Christianity. Remember he
yeah,
was
yeah.
Oh
priest.
yeah, because then he lost his his religion after Ivan died, right?
That's
Yeah.
right, Ivan. Yes, yes. That's what
Yeah.
he said.
Crisis
What do
of
you
faith.
think? What I thought was really interesting and really endearing was Yasov's relationship with children. I mean, he was it was so endearing in that last section about his connection. He was clearly so well, he was so close to Sam's children. And then he was also really close to I guess it's his nephew, the one who is going to LA.
Yes, that's right. He feared for his future, and then she intercedes, said, "No, everything's going to be fine." And she
Yeah.
Yeah.
met the guy for 5 seconds, but that's okay. It worked.
Yeah, but he kind of right. It worked because he kind of proved, oh, I have three books. I'm meeting with a publisher. Like he had
I have an
much
appointment with
more.
Pixar next week. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're doing fine. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I thought that
um,
was like that was a pinnacle moment to that demonstrated exactly why she succeeded and fumbled through being lost after losing golf to find herself because she had hope. And that was another thing that the author talked about, right? Was like, is there anything after this, or are we just living the present moment? And she's like, no, you have to have hope. She was a dreamer and she believed in ways he didn't. And he's like, people don't change, things were static. And I heard a little bit remnants of his father in him in that,
Mm,
and
yeah.
the way he analyzes his nephew's sort of career as a dead end. And she speaks to him for 5 seconds and she's like, actually, it's really not a dead end, and what she saw versus what he saw, I thought was like a moment where you really understood the difference between her thinking and his thinking.
Yeah, Mr. Cautious.
No,
He's
it's
Mr.
true.
Cautious.
And didn't she use it, I think, a phrase in there, love is hope? That's the definition. Or did I make that up? Or did I think of
Yeah,
that?
no,
No,
I
no,
don't know.
she said that.
that's what no, Helen, that's what her editor, Jordan's editor, describes love in her novels as a form of hope.
Yes. Okay. I knew it was in there somewhere. But and she had that hope, and as you were all saying, she met Silas, she had children, she went on.
And she
Um,
clearly had the actually I think the last page where she her it's clear that her son's gonna hope comes again.
yes, you're right. We're present. And that was,
Yeah.
I thought that was a good ending line. You're here, Casey. Like you're in the
Yeah,
present. I don't know that I agree with what is it? Presence. It's the presence only, present
right,
only. But
right,
that seemed
yeah.
to be what it ended on. It's we're here and you're here. And that's what he wanted. And
Yeah.
as someone said earlier, and she's finally Casey. She's not Jordan. She's not someone that you know, um, a personality that they ascribe to her. She's her own self.
Yeah. She broke away from them. She was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he knew that. Silas named that by
Yes.
naming her.
I thought it was also so interesting about her relationship with Silas. That was clearly that a night like a mind connection, but they had a physical connection. And it wasn't like about sex necessarily as much as it was about like holding each other and hugging. And, so when in that last page, she comes back and she crawls into bed and they hug. And I thought that was so sweet and tender and really demonstrative of what a lovely relationship
Oh,
they
I thought
had.
it was so sweet too when he could have been so pissed off at her
I
and
know.
showed up at the airport, had no idea what her flight was on. He was just waiting there for her. That was
Yeah,
that's
I love
so
that too. I
sweet.
think that was lovely. Really sweet. I love the way she's just the way she got the chemistry and the young love between Yaz and her. I mean, you're just so in it with her, and it's so intoxicating. And just their repartee, their
Yeah,
back and forth, it was so real. You really felt like you were in it with her. I thought she
I
did a great,
agree.
that joy. Hmm. That
Especially
feeling
when she
when you're in high school or college and that kind of romance. It's really great.
well, what about because remember she decides to do another semester just because he's doing that?
Yeah.
That was so sweet.
Yeah, that's definitely why she did that. But she did pursue the writing. I did think it was nice the way that they let her. I guess she was so impressed with these guys and finally said, I've been wasting my time. She sort of woke up, and thought, I need to focus and do something worthwhile, and then as someone said earlier, she took the professor who really drilled down on her writing and, gave her the tips about all the women authors, and that would help her with her writing, develop her own style. So I thought
That
that was great.
and that was when that was the last semester, right? When she took that fall extra semester.
Yeah, yeah. She was doing more of a seminar course in
Yeah.
writing.
And it
Mm.
was so interesting that Yash was the one who reached out to her, but she was clearly like thinking about him and she stayed for him. But she like forced herself to build a life outside and get that job at the laundromat and just create a life for herself. And again, it was another like inkling as to her decision making and her thought process and her sort of hope. And she just knew that she just had to pull away and build a life, and she did. And I thought that was lovely.
I just thought it was funny that the professor says, yeah, you've read all these white men, like, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
greet
all
some
you
women.
know.
Yeah,
And I kind of feel like that's what her life was at that point, all these men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I just thought, like, I hear like in the background, in some way, shape, or form, making some kind of imprint on her is a female mentor, really, and
Yeah.
saying, hey, here are all these other voices and try that, read that,
yeah. Like see what's possible, you know?
That's
It
Mm.
was
actually such a good point because the other two women that were important in her life were Carson and Claudette, I think was her name.
Mhm.
And then Madame, whatever her name was, Leah, the one who she went to Paris to
Oh
live with
yeah.
for.
Mhm.
They're not, you're right. They're like more maybe emotional for her, like her
Mhm.
emotional stability, perhaps, but not like in terms of like her building like like her, I don't know. That's just really that's
Like
interesting.
she was like building the life of a writer,
Yeah.
like writers, I think they have to write. Any writers I know, they can't not write, you know? And I don't know, I just get the sense that that professor sort of brought her voice out,
Yeah. Yep.
despite what was going on in her private life.
Yeah. What do you think about? I was just reminded of she went back a few times to the story about the murder of that student, the foreign
yeah,
student.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I almost
I
forgot
brought up
about
at
that.
two different
Yeah, that was
times. She's
strange.
kind of
Yeah.
haunted by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I'm trying to remember the
I
details.
do. She was from Iran, right?
Right. And she
And she knew her. They
she
were
met her.
neighbors. They did like it was a short period of time. There was like 3 weeks. They had lived together in some sort of temporary housing.
That's
And
right.
she was beating herself up. She's like, I should have been more like she was constantly revisiting her because it was such a grotesque way that she had died. And so she was like retracing constantly, like, what went wrong here? Like, what happened to her? How random is it that life can go so wrong so quick? And I was there for it. So I think it was also like there's le levels of grief in the book, right? Like grief about Yash, grief about her daughter, grief about it's just a lot of grief.
And wasn't there was it Sam or was it Yaz who knew the guy who killed that girl.
Oh, I forgot that.
Do you remember that? But I don't remember who it was, which one it was.
I
Yeah,
think it was a
it
friend
was
of
Yash.
Yash's or
Yeah.
his roommate or so. There was definitely a guy that knew a guy. Like, well, he was so and
Yeah.
so's roommate that semester. And I always thought he was odd or something like that. And it was a rape, I think, and murder. It was horrible.
I think it was too. And I think that whoever it was, if it was Yaz, he was interviewed or like interrogated by the police because they had
Hmm.
found a sweatshirt of his.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
I
Remember
Yeah,
forgot that.
in his dorm room because his mother had written all of his name like on all, with a
that's
Sharpie on all
right.
the clothes.
Yeah.
I feel like that when I was reading that part, I was kind of thinking about how when I was in college anyway, going to college for a woman is different than it is for a man. Like there is a level of threat, right? There is a level like I used to when I was in college, I had four good friends who were all guys, and I'd say, yeah, I have to think about when I leave the party at 1 a.m. in the morning and I'm walking across, I have to think about that. You're not thinking about that,
Right.
right? Like that.
Yeah.
I felt that kind of, I was brought back to some of that threat, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so to me, the book in some ways was a little bit about gender.
I don't know if you already talked about this. Sorry, I've been in and out. But there was this one conversation she had with Yash where he insisted there was no hope.
Mm,
And they kind of were debating. It was like philosophically, he was like, hope is just an illusion and there really is no hope and nothing ever really changes. And she was like, no, no, I believe in hope and I believe in, a
Oh,
better world. And it was almost like, well, I
when was
guess
that, Marianne? What part was that? I kind of
it
remember
was
that.
still while they were, young, while they were young.
Like
And
when they were
they were
in
very
France.
heady with their conversations and their literature and all that. And they had this conversation about, and he was like, no, no, there's no hope. It was all very much, they were studying a lot of philosophers
Yeah.
and she was like, no, no, the world can change, things can change, people can change. And he was like, no, no, I don't believe in that. And it was almost like, self-fulfilling. And I kind of felt like that was one of the reasons why he chickened out on her, is like he didn't believe that he could have
Yeah.
and fulfill that life.
Well, I think he was so damaged. I kept thinking this throughout the whole book that he was like so damaged by his parents, particularly his
Yeah.
father. That was like part of it for me.
Yeah. They made that illusion, but you never really got into it deeply. But
No, you're
yeah.
right. They didn't get into it as
Yeah.
much, but for some reason, that's what I always thought, like what happened, why he didn't show up at the Delta terminal in New York
Yeah.
City was because of his father, which we don't, know if that's really, they don't really then go back to that.
No, he did say, he said he didn't want to end up, he was afraid, like he didn't have any financial wherewithal.
Oh,
And
that's
that
right.
was kind of how his parents started out. And he was afraid that he was going to drag her down that rabbit hole of like not being able to afford anything and not having a stable, you know, base to start from. So he kind of copped out and went to Sam,
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was
But he
afraid he
did
was going to
try
end up
many
like his
times to
parents.
come back to her.
Yeah, I agree.
Did anyone have any thoughts about the timing? Like, I think I can't remember, but it's later in the book when um it's revealed that the first time that Yash had, or it was out, he was diagnosed and then he had radiation or treatment, but that was when he went to visit them.
Yes, when he went to New
Yeah.
York, right,
Yeah,
Alicia? Like right
yeah,
after.
yeah.
And he didn't tell her at
Correct.
that
No,
point.
he
Yeah.
didn't tell, but it's almost like he had this brush with mortality and he was maybe trying to get some kind of answers about what happened or to make sure that she to sort of see how she was. I mean, there was no I mean, it was sort of like
I
I
know. Like,
Well, you
because
get the sense he
they,
regretted it as all his life in a way, that he had this
yeah.
huge regret.
Well, he
Yeah.
probably maybe
But he
was
didn't know
hopeful.
exactly what he was regretting, right? The full picture of what,
Yeah,
'cause he didn't have the full picture. I mean, he just knew he made this fatal error of not showing up.
right. And never really got over her.
Right. And
Mhm.
No,
never
never.
really knew from her. I mean, he understood that he didn't, show up, but this door sort of closed and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a reflection of how important she was and how maybe he sensed that there was something that he didn't,
Do you remember when
it,
Sam said, um, Yash's father said you're the kind of girl
yes,
that
Jordan is the type
Oh,
Jordan's the
of
kind
yes.
of girl you
divorce.
divorce. And so it was so interesting how she ended up in this like very rewarding relationship with Silas, and all these boys couldn't really rise up to the task of like, meeting her where she was or like having a reciprocal adult relationship with her. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
You know,
she's
that's actually so interesting because they think about it. Yasif never got married. The other one, Sam, got divorced. EJ got divorced. She's the only one. She might be the
Yeah.
only one in the character with a loving.
Stable.
well, she's kind of constantly proving them wrong. She's the
Yeah.
one who becomes the writer, right?
Yeah.
She's not lying. She's not a cheater at golf, like Jordan was. She's not a real Jordan, you know, and you know, she has hope for her son, right? She ends up in this stable relationship, not divorced. I mean, who knows what happens next, but I'm just saying the people around her have opinions and she's like upending those.
I liked that she had the guts to go to France.
Yes.
We dreamed
Me
about it,
too.
talked about it, but she actually did it. Hmm.
Yeah, and her boss was like, this is what is happening.
Yeah.
We are doing an exchange.
Yeah. I liked that too a lot. It was
Yeah.
really gutsy.
I thought that
You
boss
didn't
was
go
the
with
only
that.
really one of the few very strong women in the book. Um, the men take forefront in terms of strength and sort of they're the scholars, she's not, they know she doesn't, and then that one boss comes in and she's a true boss and she's like, yeah, you're going to France and you're going to thank me later. I thought that was really telling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was good.
That
What
was
was
good.
it, this whole thing about Hart the lover? What was that repetitive theme?
She signed
That's from the
something.
card game, right?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
From the
card
card
game.
game.
And then is it Sam who writes a letter to her?
Well, Sam writes it, but then Yash confesses that
Yeah, that
he
he,
penned it for Sam.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then when he finally writes a note to her, he signs one of them, Heart the lover, the real one.
Yeah, you're right. He writes a note, I'm in your bed, wake me up so I can apologize all night. The real heart, the lover. You're right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There's like I want to go back. There's like sections that I want to go back and reread in this book.
yeah,
I thought what she did so well was, and we touched about it on it a little bit, but it was like just that tension when she stays an extra semester and he finally reaches out to her and it's like that scene when they like go to the laundromat and they meet her friends and she's like dying to get him like alone. I thought that was such a good way of she had a really wonderful way of portraying sexual tension
Yeah.
between them.
What do you
Young
think
love.
of the cover?
see the cover. I don't have my book with me again.
Everyone see mine?
Oh, yeah, wow. I know. Those look like palm trees, but they're
I
not.
think I'm guessing it's supposed to be tears,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think
what I
so.
thought. Like
right?
a woman's face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all the sadness I think she went
Yeah.
through.
It's it was heartbreaking. The book was heartbreaking.
Was.
It was, but I think if we think about a card game, like she kind of wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she wins it in the end,
I she also gave Yaz peace. It's like knowing he had a daughter somehow gave him peace to
Well,
leave.
at first he was pissed.
Yeah, and then at the end, it's almost something he feels he can connect with in the afterlife, like watching over
It's
her
a
and
whole
all.
mortality theme, I
Mhm.
think. He's sort of,
Yeah,
it's okay now. I can go. Yeah.
right,
Like I'm
right.
gonna live on. Something in me is gonna
Yeah.
live on.
Yeah,
And then
they
and like you
create.
said, watching over, like that's what he does with the kids in his life. He's always watching over them.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
Well,
he's
he
sort of
said,
a
he
worry
said,
wart, you know.
he said, tell her I'm rooting for her. And I felt that that was what he was doing to the
Yeah.
pigeons and the tat. He was like that one who believed in them and was really rooting for him. And you're like, gosh, like he would have made a great dad, you
I
know?
know. I thought that too. It
um,
was-
Yeah.
couldn't get out of his own way.
I don't
He,
know. I feel like he was a great uncle. He made a
yeah,
great,
Me too.
the
you know.
kids.
Yeah.
I'm on duty right now. I just have to answer this phone. Excuse me.
Okay. No, no, it's fine. Thank you,
I,
Kelly.
he's like the most charming guy on his deathbed, too. I mean, really.
Oh, I know.
I was like, we'd all wish for a deathbed experience like that.
I know that
Everybody,
whole hospital, all those hospital scenes, I was like, gosh, I wish all my complicated relatives are going to get along this well.
I know.
Like they were all so happy, like in the end.
Everybody so loving and happy
Yeah.
around him. I thought, wow.
Understanding, they had such deep thoughts about her
Yeah.
and relationship.
He kept his sense of humor even though he was on morphine. It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
And that's a, and like the minute, like at first he was upset about the daughter, but then I felt like he came back and he digested the information much better. So almost in the way that Silas would have digested hard information about, hey, I'm not getting on that plane. And so I felt like in the end she was able to have with him like a beautiful relationship, the way she and Silas had over this daughter that she gave away, and there was a nice sense of closure over it all.
Yeah, I agree.
I wonder what happens to her son. I kind of feel like he makes it.
I felt like it ended on an optimistic note.
It did.
That was my feeling.
I feel like he's gonna, that was, yeah, me too.
How cute was he? His character was so cute, her
I
son.
know. He
Oh my
was
God, his dialogue was
sweet.
great.
He was like, he was 12, right? And then his whole, like, when he's having the conversation with his mom on the phone about his best friend having a girlfriend, that was so sweet.
So funny. I love the dialogue she did for him.
Or
He
like,
was
just I just want to get to Mexico. Tell me I can get to Mexico now.
right.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're gonna get to Mexico.
Yeah. I know. It's really, really cute.
And she's the do-it-all mom because she knows where the orange sleeping bag is.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And does anyone know remember that that orange sleeping bag is the one that her
Yeah.
mother nailed to her when she was in college and she didn't have heat?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh, I forgot about that.
But she told the kids where to find it and it made her night.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Great.
Full circle.
totally. I thought that too. That's why I was thinking it had to be like Chapel Hill or Duke. It's like you kind of need heat, but you don't fully need, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's why you thought, I think there were a lot of clues that led you to autobiographical,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that now.
Yeah. Um, well, I loved this. Thank you guys. That was such a great discussion. I'm really excited about our December book because I'm so excited to meet, quote unquote, meet Catherine Newman. I don't know if any of you guys have read Sandwich, but I
I
love
just
Sandwich.
finished Wreck.
You did? Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay, good. I
She's
haven't read it
hilarious.
Wait,
She
so
is
what are we reading
absolutely.
for December? Wait, back up.
yet. Back. It's
Wreck?
called Back. It's Catherine Newman is the author, and she's going to be with us. And she wrote, I don't know if you read it, but she wrote Sandwich.
I haven't read that.
It came out maybe, was it last summer it came
It
out? I
was
think it was
two.
last
It
summer.
was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And
It was
it's like,
wonderful. Yeah.
right? It was definitely like one of my ones I told everybody to read
Okay.
hmm
at the store.
She's hilarious.
I
She's
think she's
absolutely hilarious.
right. And I think she's going to be hilarious because like even my like emails with her are kind of funny. So I'm so
I know when I read her books, I read her books and I'm like, oh, I really want to be friends with her. I want to have sit down and have a drink with her because she's really funny.
So should we
me
bring
too.
wine next one?
Yeah, exactly. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Thank
Finley.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Finley.
you,
Happy
Thank you
Finley.
so
Thanksgiving.
much.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, Kelly.
Happy
This
Thanksgiving.
Appreciate
was
you. Appreciate
Of
everyone.
course.
Thank you. What a
Bye,
fun
this
everyone.
hour.
was this was so great. I already
Thank
read this
you.
book twice.
You did?
So I did.
Oh,
So
wow.
you might want to read it. Or I'm not offering everyone, but you all might want to read it another time because it is so much more meaningful the second time you read
Okay.
it.
I
Do
was
that.
thinking I was going to reread it again, to be honest, because there's sections I need to reread.
It's really so beautiful. She did a
Okay.
great job. Thank you.
Great. All right.
Thank
Bye.
you so
I
much.
loved
Happy
I
Thanksgiving.
love I loved listening to everyone's comments. It was great. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving
Thank
to you all.
Thanksgiving.
Bye
Happy
bye.
Bye,
Thanksgiving.
everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.